Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. Boy, do I have a pond update for you guys. We have had a ton of rain since the last time we guys showed you what was going on with the pond. Before we head down there though, I've got to get this Bluetti home backup power system loaded in the bed of the truck, and I'll show you why here in a second. All right, so I've made probably close to 100 videos about our whole pond saga here over the last 3 years. I'm just gonna jump right into what we're doing here today. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you'll have to go back to the beginning and see all the trials and tribulations we've had. But what we have going on here today is we've had probably 4 or 5 days of rain, overcast, cloudy. We have a solar powered well pump pumping water from pond number 2 right here behind me up to our original pond number 1. But when it's been raining for 4 or 5 days, this pond is overflowing and running over and kind of wasting that water instead of pumping it up to pond number 1, which is where I want it. So this solar pump from RPS Solar does have the option for 240 volt grid input, and that's what we're going to do today. I used to have a 240 volt generator. I sold it when we got this Bluetti system that puts out 240 volts to back up power our house. And so it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it down here because while it is portable, it's not that portable. There's 6 different pieces here. They all weigh somewhere between 80 and 100 pounds. They're very heavy and awkward. But I do have, I think, about 12,000 watt hours here. So I'll be curious to see how long those 4 batteries will run our 240 volt solar powered well pump. So I'm going to get all this hooked up. We'll go up there. The other thing I'm curious about is if we have full power to that well pump, which will be the first time we've ever had that besides these solar panels, do we get any more flow from something like grid power as opposed to solar power? So let's get it hooked up and see what it looks like. Now, in case you're curious, this is the Bluetti AC500 system. I have 2 of them because each system only puts out 120 volts. And so then you have to get this box here that, as you can see, it brings in 120, 120, and then now you've got your 240 volt plug down there. So you kind of have to have the whole setup if you want to back up power any of your 240 volt appliances in your house. And as long as you're leaving it mounted in the garage like we had it, it works fine. But if you need to move it, it is kind of cumbersome. So at this point, if I just hit AC on, it's going to turn both of them on. And assuming our controller on the RPS solar pump is working, we should be pumping water. Let's go check it out. Make sure we get this all buttoned back up so we don't get any water in there. So I think my favorite view of the pond is the one as you're walking up the back of the pond dam, because it really gives you some perspective on just how much water is in there as you walk up over the crest of the pond dam. And you see where that water level is, because you know how far uphill you're walking, and you know just how deep that goes down the other side. We are almost full. And yep, just as I thought, we didn't have to do any more fiddling around with the RPS solar pump. Just plug it in and we are pumping water. Gotta love plug and play stuff. I'm gonna have to pull that out here a little bit so we can get a water flow rate reading on that. I know when we did it under full sun out here, we were getting about 68 gallons per minute. And honestly, that is really gushing out of there. I think, just from looking at it, I don't know, we might be a little bit more than 68 gallons a minute. I'll have to go get a 5-gallon bucket and check it. All right, so when we were getting 68 gallons per minute underneath full sun with the solar panels before, it took us exactly 4.41 seconds to fill this 5-gallon bucket. So that is the time to beat. If we are faster than 4.41 seconds, that means we are getting more than 68 gallons per minute. If we are slower than 4.41 seconds, we're getting less than 68 gallons per minute. 1, 2, 3, go. And stop. All right, so that came out to about 4.67 seconds, basically exactly the same. I'm gonna call that a rounding error or a timing error on my part. I think it's exactly the same, which is the results that you wanna get. That basically means that the solar panels are able to produce the same exact amount of power as grid power, which grid power is gonna be your most reliable and consistent. So If that's what we're getting on grid power and we're able to get the same thing under full sun with the solar panels, the system is working perfectly. But now let's go take a look at the part that probably everybody wants to know, which is where is the water level right now? The thing that I am really excited to see is these dirty, muddy banks are finally starting to disappear. You know, when we look at the pond from up at the house down here, for 3 years, the pond not filling up all the way, staring at these muddy banks, it's gonna be really cool to see those disappear. So in the last pond update video we did, the pond level was at 10 foot 7 inches. And right now we've come up quite a bit since then. Again, it's been very rainy, and on the days that it wasn't raining, the solar pump was running. But right now our water level is at 11 foot 6 inches. So we've come up 11 inches since the last pond update. And now that we've got a way to pump water on days that it's like this, I think we're going to be closing the gap here on this pond being full here very quickly. I think right now we're able to, if we can pump for 6-8 hours a day, we can add about 1 inch a day. So conceivably, we are about a week away from being full if we can pump water every day. But that's also going to come down to how long would those batteries in the back of the truck run that pump before I've got to take it back up and recharge it. Let's go see how much power that pump is pulling right now. Today's video is sponsored by Good Chop. Good Chop offers fully customizable boxes of high quality proteins delivered right to your door on your schedule. The products are vacuum sealed and flash frozen at peak freshness so you can stock your freezer and cook when and how you want. Convenience at its best. Good Chop offers an outstanding variety. There's something for everybody. You can choose from over 80 different cuts, 100% grass-fed ribeyes, USDA prime filet mignon, wild-caught salmon, free-range and organic chicken breast, chicken wings, pork tenderloin, thick-cut bacon, just to name a few. Good Chop sources its meat and seafood exclusively from American farms and fisheries. By supporting Good Chop, you are indirectly supporting American farms and independent ranchers all across the U.S. Good Chop also offers a 100% money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are in the quality of the meat and seafood that they're sending out the door. Love Good Chop or you get your money back. It's that easy. Lana and I have had a couple of meals out of our Good Chop box already, and we absolutely love it and think you will too. Go to goodchop.com/YouTube and use promo code HOMETOWN130 or use the link in the description to get $130 off across your first 4 boxes. All right, so we turned these batteries on about 40 minutes ago. Let's see what the battery level is at right now. Looks like about 88% on that one and 87% on that one. And it looks like they're both pulling about 1400 watts a piece. So these batteries, or this Bluetti system, does not give you an estimated remaining time like a lot of these smaller portable battery stations do, but it's simple math, right? Each one of those battery banks in the back is rated for 3072 watt hours. So basically you just take how many watts you're pulling divided by how many watt hours you have in the battery, and it'll tell you how long they'll run for. So let me do that math real quick. Okay, so keep in mind that there's 2 batteries back there running this one and 2 batteries back there running this one. So each one of those battery banks is 3072 watt hours. Take that times 2, that's 6144 watt hours. Divided by 1400 watts is what we're pulling. And it brings you to just a bit over 4 hours. So almost 4.5 hours is what we'll get out of here, which I think is decent, right? You know, we can come down here, leave everything in the bed of the truck with a tonneau cover on it, run the battery powered pump for 4 hours or so, and then take it back up to the garage and recharge it. And then if you do have a nice day, you could actually have the solar panels keeping these things topped off, and then you'd be able to continue running for 3 or 4 hours after dark. So I think this will be a pretty cool setup, but the pond's gonna be full here soon. So hopefully once the pond is full, we don't need to be running this thing as aggressively as we have been. We can just, you know, flip the switch here and there to top off that upper pond. So now that we can pump on sunny days and we can pump on rainy or cloudy days, we also still have the ability that we're getting water from our French drains and our springs. So right now, on a day like today where it's raining and we're able to pump with the Bluetti system in the back of the truck, we're getting 2 for the price of 1. So if that over there is putting out 68 gallons per minute, what do you guys think this is? There's no real way to measure it, but I don't know, maybe 10 gallons a minute. So we're getting 78 gallons a minute into the pond right now. It's about 4 hours later. We're down here checking on pond number 2. This was full and overflowing this morning when we kicked the batteries on. And I figured if we're pumping 68 gallons per minute, that's about 4,000 gallons an hour. We've been pumping for about 4 hours now. And you can see if this was overflowing earlier, we have dropped the water level maybe an inch, and we've pumped probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 16,000 gallons out of here up to pond number 2 on batteries in the back of the truck. So yeah, this is what pond number 2 looks like. This has actually been working out really, really well with just the solar panels the last few days, because we've had, a rain day, and then we'd have a day where the sun came out, and so the water would be overflowing, and then we'd pump it down 2 or 3 inches, and then the next day would rain again, fill it back up, and the next day would be sunny, pump it back down again. So this time of the year, we are getting into kind of a rhythm of the pond being full, pumping it down, filling it back up. I don't know what the summer is going to hold with this pond down here, if we are going to be, pumping frequently. I don't think once the pond is full up there, we shouldn't have to. But yeah, right now it's a pretty nice back and forth rhythm of draining it and pump and letting it fill back up. And the batteries in the back of the truck right now are at 36% and 41%. And actually it looks like, I know you guys can't see that because of the sun, but right now we're only pulling about 1140 watts and 1100 watts on this one. So we're not quite pulling that 1400 watts that we were earlier. The other nice thing is these things do kick off a little bit of heat, so leaving them in the back of the truck here, it's actually warm inside here. Not hot by any means, but there is a little bit of heat to keep these batteries from getting cold, because it's like 35 degrees out right now. And here's what 4 hours of constant grid power did to the pond. Earlier today we were at 11'6", and now we are at about 6.5, which makes sense. We've been pumping for about 4 hours of steady, reliable power. When the pump is running off the solar panels, if a cloud goes by, it kicks off and then it kicks back on. So this has been running non-stop for 4 hours, which is a little bit different than, just on solar alone. One thing I did want to show you guys, as we are getting close to the top rim of the pond, a lot of people have said, this is a big pond with a lot of watershed acreage coming down into it. Is your 8-inch pipe enough? And the answer is, for 95% of the storms and everything that we get, probably. But for the 5% that we might get, maybe once a year, twice a year, once every 2 years, we do have an emergency overflow over here. And if you guys have been following since we dug the pond, you'll remember we've talked about this in the past. But as you look at this, you can actually see the shadow where it drops down. We have probably a 15-foot wide, it starts right about here, drops down, and then it's flat right here. And so this is our emergency overflow. This is about 12 inches lower than the top of the dam over there. So if that standpipe ever gets overrun over there, water will come over right around here and down the back side of the dam. And again, this is not the part of the dam. This is all virgin ground right here. The dam starts there. The importance of that is that the dam is mechanically compacted, which is not anywhere near as good as naturally compacted over hundreds and thousands of years. So if water were to breach over the dam, it would be a lot easier for it to start eroding and continue to get worse and worse, and then you'd lose the whole thing and all of the water would rush out of here. Whereas over virgin ground with grass and everything on it, and the fact that it's a nice flat surface, it would just permeate and trickle through here and not cut any road, because it's virgin ground as opposed to man-made, mechanically compacted ground. All right, it's the next day. We got the truck brought back down here, plugged back in, and the pump is running again. I'm not sure how long that took to recharge, but based on what I was seeing on the input side, it looked like it was inputting about the same exact amount as it was outputting. So if it took us, 4.5, 5 hours to completely drain those batteries, it was charging while I slept last night. That's the reason I don't know, but considering it was putting in the same amount of power it was pulling, I would imagine that it probably took 4.5, 5 hours to recharge as well. So that's not too bad. Let's go check and see what pond number 2 did overnight to replenish itself with just groundwater running in. It didn't rain last night, but the ground is so saturated, there's plenty of groundwater moving right now. You may have noticed in the background, we've got a little puddle issue over here. That's not anything to do with the pond. That's not, the pond overflowing and spilling over here. When we put this in, we just built this up a little bit higher and basically created a large puddle here. So I need to come in here in the springtime and get this drained into the pond so we're not holding water there. But yeah, pond's looking good. I just threw another dye packet in a couple days ago, so nice and blue. If we get a really nice freeze with no snow or rain, coming out here and ice skating on, Caribbean blue looking water is pretty cool. We've had that happen once before. What happens though, if you get a freeze and then it snows and rains and, basically you end up with just white ice, but it's always nice when you get that clear black ice that matches the color of your water, especially if you put pond dye in it. But as we are looking at our standpipe, the pond definitely came up a little bit last night because I think we were certainly lower on that elbow than we are now, maybe a half an inch or so, but a half an inch over this size area is a good bit of water. Yep, the pump is running. And it looks like we might have come up just a little bit overnight. Last night before the pump shut off, we were reading just under 10.7, and now we're a little bit over 10.7. So that's the benefit of having the French drain and the spring running 24/7. And then we come out here this morning and turn the pump on and get both of them working together. All right, so a lot has changed since yesterday. Last night we had a bunch of rain that then transitioned to snow overnight, and we've got about 4 to 6 inches of the white stuff on the ground here. And even more impressively, what has changed with the pond level is we are now only 2 inches away from full. And I just went down and I kicked the RPS solar pump back on with the batteries in the back of the truck, and I have a feeling the ground still is not frozen underneath. So we're still going to be, the ground is going to be melting the snow from underneath, and it's going to be coming down through that French drain. So between any runoff that we get from the ground plus the RPS solar pump, I want to say with only 2 inches left to go, here within a couple hours, the pond should be full for the first time ever since we started construction 3 years ago. So I've got you guys set up on a time lapse here. We're gonna go get the driveway plowed and then we'll come back down here. I wanna be down here the second that first drop of water spills over that standpipe. there we go, guys. After 3.5 years, the pond saga is finally complete. The pond is full, and there is our first couple of drops of water heading down the standpipe. I'm gonna see if I can stick the microphone over there so you can hear it a little better. I don't know if you can hear that or not. So another question that we get pretty frequently is, where does this pond drain to? A lot of people think that it overflows back into pond number 2. That's not the case. If you've been with us since the beginning, it actually runs down here underneath the dam and then drains down there on the other side of those firewood baskets. I can take you down there and we'll see if we can see how much water is actually flowing down through there right now. I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not because it's covered in snow, but this is the outflow pipe, and it looks like, yeah, there's some water coming down. Let me see if I can get this uncovered. There is the outflow pipe, and I do have a varmint trap on there, so, you know, something can come out, but it can't go in. And yeah, you can see right there, there's water trickling out right now. So that overflow pipe is working, and as you can see, the back of the pond dam there is in between the building and the house. The other thing that really impresses me is the last 3 or 4 days that we have been pumping water up to pond number 1. Pond number 2 down here is still completely full right now. That's just how much water this pond catches down here. Pretty impressed by that. So that is going to about do it for pond updates for a little while. Just because the pond is full does not mean that the pond is not leaking. However, this is a huge milestone. In the last 3 years, this pond has never been full like this before. We're gonna have to wait to see what the water level does as we go without rain. You know, we get into June, July, and August. It has been a very, very wet December and January, which has helped contribute to this. But I really think the biggest thing contributing to this pond's success up to this point is digging the second pond. It provided the clay to line the bottom of this, as well as provided us a water source. Plus then you've got RPS solar in there as well that is pumping that water from pond 2 to pond 1 and giving us a more consistent, steady, reliable source of water to fill this pond. In case you're wondering, we started filling this pond on August 3rd of this year. That was the last time it was drained, emptied, and we tried doing the repair on the bottom with the clay liner. And today is January 3rd. So exactly 5 months it took to fill this pond, whereas before we couldn't get it to fill over the course of 2.5 years. So not much left to do now, but wait for it to ice over. You can see it's already starting to get some ice on here behind me. It's been very windy the last few days, which is why even though it's been, you know, 25, 20 degrees at night, it hasn't frozen over yet because it's been so windy and moving water doesn't freeze. But you can see it's starting to give way here. And once the top sheet gets frozen over, it'll start adding thickness very quickly because that water isn't moving anymore. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I can't tell you how thrilled I am that the pond is finally full after 3 years. I thought this day would never come. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.